Okay, I know all of you guys who are holding HBAR are quite frustrated at the moment, and I think anyone would be in this situation. HBAR has been in a descending trend for quite some time. Even when the Bitcoin was at peak, HBAR was somewhat still on, in a descending long-term trend. And at this moment, it's quite looking bad. It's sitting at about zero point 0.1, almost 11 cents at the time that I'm making this video. And I mean, it's not looking good. And I can see that people are getting frustrated. They're losing hope. And there's a lot of talks about, Hedera being a ghost chain. There's lack of DeFi activity. The total value locked of Hedera is quite less compared to other chains, other blockchains, other similar platforms. And, people are questioning the fundamentals of Hedera, that they might be the reason why the price is dropping. And if the fundamentals are broken, there's no way that the price can recover, even if the market recovers. In this video, I'm going to explain how they're wrong, why Hedera still has potential, what we can expect from Hedera, is holding Hedera at this point is a good option or not. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. I'm not going to give any financial advice. All of this will be my own opinion. It will be backed by the reasoning that I'm going to give you guys in this video. But nevertheless, nothing that I'm going to say in this video is going to be a financial or an investment advice. So if you want to buy Hedera, that will be completely up to you. If you want to sell Hedera, again, that will be completely up to you. But let's get into it. Let's discuss these things. And for this video, what we're going to take a look at is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is what's leading the price of all of these altcoins. If you take a look at the Bitcoin, you can clearly see some similarities. This is the Bitcoin chart. Then we have the XRP chart. You can see how it dropped almost all these times when Bitcoin dropped, and you can see the same thing in Hedera. So it's these drops that we're witnessing here. These are not because the fundamentals of Hedera are broken. All of this is because of Bitcoin. And what's impacting Bitcoin? This right here was just before the interest rate hike by Bank of Japan, which a lot of people thought that it's going to end the carry trade, the yen carry trade. And this was, I believe, caused because of that. And for XRP, you can see that it's since Bitcoin is leading the charge, you can see the same pattern in XRP. And my reasoning here is, if you take a look at the ETF inflows of Hedera, which in the start were quite decent and they were giving people hope, but afterwards things got really bad. It's been almost maybe more than, I think, 8 days that we are experiencing complete dryness. We're getting 0 daily total net inflows in Hedera, which is quite frustrating. It's quite sad. But the thing is, this has no impact on the price. Even when we were experiencing all of these inflows, this had no impact on the price of Hedera. We have the same thing with Solana. You have the XRP pulling in a lot of these decent numbers, a lot of decent inflows. Again, that doesn't have any impact on the price. The price of Solana is dropping in the same pattern as XRP, in the same pattern as HBAR, in the same pattern as Hyperliquid, and because all of these are following the track of Bitcoin. And even when XRP is pulling in all these numbers, ever since the ETF has been launched, there has been not a single day that it has not attracted inflows. And right now it's sitting at a cumulative total net inflows of $1.12 billion, total net assets in $1.25. But still, you can see the price of XRP. It's following the same trend. It dropped in almost the same way. The ETF inflows, they have no impact even if the total net inflows are in $1 billion. So that has no impact. The price of HBAR is not dropping because of weak inflows. It's dropping because of the whole market. It's dropping because of Bitcoin. And that's where we need to analyze what's going to happen next for Bitcoin, so we can see, we can predict what's going to happen with HBAR. And it feels like even though we were in a downtrend consistently, but for the first time for these at least for these few days, we're witnessing some sort of a sideways trend and not a downtrend. We're seeing price continue towards a sideways market, which is the good sign. At least we're no longer in a descending trend. We're at least in a sideways trend, and we can see the same for the XRP, for the Bitcoin. Now, talking about Bitcoin, you may have heard analysis giving out strong numbers that a bounce for Bitcoin is imminent, and it's imminent because of a lot of reasons. First of all, we have a pro crypto chair that is being appointed for the CFTC. So Michael S. Selig was sworn in today to serve as the 16th chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, who is pro crypto and has plans to make US the central hub for crypto, and that's what he said. So we have another pro crypto chair being assigned. If we talk about the inflation data, the recent data shows that inflation is dropping. Consumer prices rose less than expected in November, giving investors hope that inflationary pressures may be cooling enough for US monetary policy to be eased more than Wall Street anticipates. Inflation isn't going away. From what it seems, it is slowing down, which means there is a possibility of rate cuts by the Feds, which eventually means more liquidity into riskier assets, and that's where Bitcoin comes in. So there will be liquidity that will move into the crypto market. So with the recent inflation data, with the new chairman of the CFTC, all of this news may lead to a bounce for Bitcoin. It may go up. The next resistance that we have is until 92,000. If it breaks that, then I think it's quite far from there. And if that happens, Bitcoin may increase 10% in price. But these altcoins, they may increase maybe 50%. If Bitcoin goes back to its all-time high at about $127,000, that will be about, I think, a 40%, 30 to 40% increase in Bitcoin's price. But if it reaches that peak, Hedera will experience 100%, will experience a 2x in the price of Hedera. And it won't be the same this time, because the price of Hedera, when it peaked, there were no, institutional interest in Hedera. There were, no proper price indices by CME Group for Hedera. There has been a lot of developments done on Hedera during this bear market, and when Bitcoin peaks at that point, at least these fundamentals, these developments will have an impact on the price. So we can expect the price of Hedera to be much more than what it was before. The point of this video is price of Hedera is being led by Bitcoin, not because of the fundamentals, not because people are saying that the fundamentals are broken. When you have a bear market, it's quite obvious. There will be less DeFi activity. There will be less D-apps that will be developed on the chain. Of course, that will impact the TVL as well. And all of this is being led by the market, because it's not just impacting Hedera, it's impacting bigger coins, XRP, Solana, who are pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars in inflows. But still, it has no impact on the price. We just assumed that the ETF inflows will have a good impact on price because they did have an impact on Bitcoin, but we're not experiencing the same thing with these altcoins. They will have an impact once we are in an uptrend, but at that point, we won't be able to tell if it's the inflows that are leading the charge or is it the market that's leading the charge. But the point is, what we have experienced this time is if you are in a downtrend for these altcoins, these ETF inflows are not going to do anything. Even if you have major developments, major announcements, the CME Group announcement was so huge, although it did lead to, it was used as an exit liquidity, just like a lot of these other announcements. The hyperliquid burn, which had no impact because those tokens that they are planning to burn, they're already out of circulation. So it wasn't going to have any impact on the price. If anything, there's, we have unlocks coming from Hyperliquid, but the point is the announcement of the burns, it was used as exit liquidity in Hyperliquid, and the announcement of CME Group, it was used as exit liquidity in Hedera. So what we have learned is these ETF inflows, they don't impact the price as much as the market does. And this price is being led by Bitcoin and Bitcoin only, not because of the fundamentals. I don't think that the fundamentals are broken. If they were broken, institutions would not be interested in Hedera. They have put more interest in Hedera, even though they could have placed their interest in a lot of different coins, a lot of different tokens, which has a higher valuation, better regulations, and so forth. But Hedera is meant for institutions, and that's why institutions are focused on Hedera. If the fundamentals were broken, if the technology wasn't right, they would have seen that from a distance, but they didn't. So that's not broken. It's the market that's doing all of these things, that's impacting the DeFi activity, that's impacting the TVL, that's impacting the ETF inflows. And when the market improves, all of these things are eventually going to improve. The fundamentals, the technology of Hedera is the same that it was when Hedera hit its all-time high. Even better now, we have much more interest from institutions. We have a proper price index for HBAR in CME Group, which is a huge announcement. So we have much more development in Hedera than we had before. So it has a higher potential to break its previous all-time high given the right market conditions. And looking at the market conditions, especially the new chairman of the CFTC, the new data coming in about the inflation, and what the analysts are saying, a bounce may be on the way for Bitcoin, and that will change things. So in my opinion, I think Hedera will bounce. Obviously, it will bounce. I know people are frustrated, but they're frustrated everywhere. Even XRP holders, they're frustrated. So it's not just Hedera, it's almost everyone. So what I would say is, don't lose hope. Things will turn around, and they will turn around pretty soon. Bitcoin has not seen a bear market for more than 12 months. This is right about the time when it bounces back, and when it does, it will take all of these altcoins with it, including Hedera, including XRP, including Hyperliquid, along with all the other coins. So that's my take on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video shortly. So stay tuned.